drones, of UFO kind of things. They say, if we find out something, we'll let you know. But I don't know if they will.
That's all we were talking about, because everyone had seen these drones.
Oh, they've seen
them. My theory is, and this is not educated or academic.
Are you concerned, though?
My concern, yeah, I guess, I don't know. What can I tell you? Yes.
I'm kind of rethinking my thinking. I think I missed the boat.
The View has just reacted to the drones flying over America. Plus, they've revealed some interesting details about Kamala Harris's secret parties. Everyone is talking about these drones, but we don't seem to be finding out anything more. I am so curious about this now. To me, it feels like we've been given like a 100-piece puzzle, but none of the pieces actually fit together. I keep listening to other people's opinions and theories, hoping to find like two pieces that fit together, and so far, I'm coming up bare. So I wanted to take a look at what the hosts of The View had to say in their latest episode. Keep in mind that some of these women are close with Kamala Harris, they're close with the people in government within the Democrat Party, etc. So, they may have a little bit of extra insight that we don't have. But that's not all that they spoke about. They also discussed Trump, the Democrat Party, and even Kamala Harris's wild parties. So let's get into it.
For weeks now, people have been recording videos of drones. Take a look at what's going on in the USA.
How can you stand there and say to the country right now, gosh darn, we just don't know what these are?
Sorry, can't give you great insight on that.
Are you concerned, though?
My concern, yeah, I guess, I don't know. What can I tell you? Yes.
I have a lot of trouble believing that the federal government is doing enough here.
They say, if we find out something, we'll let you know. But I don't know if they will.
Usually the hosts of The View would kind of go along with whatever the government is coming out with. And it's interesting that they're being a bit critical here.
Yeah.
No,
so have any of you actually, because you guys live where these things are happening, have any of you seen these things?
7 states. I haven't seen it, but a lot of people, that was the whole night at this dinner. That's all we were talking about, because everyone had seen these drones.
Oh, they've seen them.
Over New
Jersey,
them.
you see them more.
I absolutely think the government knows what's going on. I don't hate that they're not telling us, because I actually think my theory is, and this is not educated or academic, is that they are testing technology for a time when we could need it. And I actually, because when you think about it, drones,
That's very doomsday, Sarah.
Well, they can go up to like $1 million. These drones are not cheap.
Yeah.
So someone with a lot of money.
Not the Christmas gift drones?
No. Those are not.
No.
But I think that they can do infrared. They can do a lot of things looking down. And I think they might be scanning and testing things. And I don't want them telling us, because then they tell the world.
So it is very likely that there is a plausible explanation. And my guess would be it's like a defense contractor that's authorized by the government to do it. Yeah. But the answering and the explanations is driving me nuts.
Well, that's the thing, because even if they are doing something where it's like, oh, we can't reveal it, well, then say that. At least put people's mind at rest. Be like, we're doing it, but just trust us, right?
So you have Mayorkas saying, we're on it. Well, what are you on? Because you can't tell us what it is. Yeah. Chuck Schumer saying you shouldn't have to shake an 8-ball for an answer. And then the joint FBI and DHS statement saying there's no evidence of a security risk at this time. That's doing a lot of work at this time. Yeah. People are a little bit, it's a little eerie looking.
And I'm surprised that American kids, Gen Zers haven't figured out how to hack these drones and have them come down and check them out and take pictures and
I think
put them on Snapchat and stuff.
No, I think they know what it is. I think they're not going to really be able to say it, or we're going to get a really hell of a big party for New Year's Eve. It's going to it's going to be like a dome over all 50 states of these drones, and they're all doing it. Well, why not? I mean, stranger things have happened.
If it's aliens, though, is now the time you'd come to Earth? I don't feel like it would be now.
I will say, now's the time, because they can fit right in.
I do have to say, I was only joking about Americans grabbing these drones.
You're not supposed to touch
It is
them.
a federal crime to try to take them down. So
But it's
please
why
leave
the
them where they are.
It's quite funny, because basically Sunny, she got into a lot of trouble for defamation, basically. I think she got sued. A couple of the women have gotten sued on this show for saying things that are not quite fair. In recent times, Sunny has to regularly after she says something, she then has to give a disclaimer, because the things she says often get her into so much trouble. So that's another example of it there.
Getting frustrated
that's why
because the
everybody's
state
frustrated.
law enforcement can't actually do anything. Only
and that's
federal
what Schumer's
officials.
trying to do
Please
is
leave
to
them where
make
they
it,
are.
Chuck Schumer's trying to introduce legislation which will allow local law enforcement to take care of this because they can't.
They can't.
They're not allowed to do it.
Like I said before, I don't have a proper theory on this, but at the moment I lean towards thinking that it's a little bit coincidental. Every news agency, every discussion about this ends up talking about legislation, more legislation. And I don't know about the ins and outs of this, so this is just me saying without really any backing. But I know that it was coming up to the time, like within the next few weeks, there were people pushing to renew and expand the legislation around like aircraft, like drones and stuff like that. And to me, it's a little bit coincidental that in the weeks coming up to this renewal of this legislation, that there so happens to be all this stuff in the sky that everybody's like going mad about. And then every news outlet has like mentions of legislation, you know, it's just the timing is a little bit weird to me. I don't know.
Getting frustrated
that's why
because the
everybody's
state
frustrated.
law enforcement can't actually do anything.
And
Only
that's what
federal
Schumer's
officials.
trying to do
Please
is
leave
to
them where
make
they
it,
are.
Chuck Schumer's trying to introduce legislation which will allow local law enforcement to take care of this because they can't.
They can't.
They're not allowed to do it.
So as I continue to try to piece the puzzle together, I just want to show you the latest update on the drones as it is currently, because Trump has given some input and, you know, the news keeps reporting on the updates. So have a look at this.
Heard a lot of concern, a lot of coverage. Where are you tonight on this?
As we look at the information we've got, Brett, and we've now examined some 5,000 different sightings, we've added detection capabilities, additional observers. As you and I stand here today, to date, our assessment is that this is lawful, legal, commercial, hobbyist, and even law enforcement aircraft activity. Some of it's manned, some of it's unmanned. We absolutely acknowledge that a lot of these are probably drones, but they're flying legally. And it is legal to fly drones in non-restricted airspace as long as you're registered with the FAA. And there's thousands and thousands of these kinds of flights every single day. I think there's more than 1 million drones that are registered with the FAA just in the United States alone.
But this is different, it seems. These are bigger. They're 6 feet in diameter, a lot of them. There was a reporter the other day that saw 50 coming from the coast at one, like, pack. I know when you first came out, you said that most of these are manned. Can you concede that maybe most of these are not manned?
I'm glad he asked the question because it seemed like that guy was trying to kind of get away with just saying that this is all normal flight activity and just forget about it.
Well, I said was at the time, and this was Thursday, when we were not as informed as we are today based on the resources we have applied to the problem set. I said many of the reported sightings we believe to be manned aircraft. That was true when we said it on Thursday. We still believe, Brett, that some of these are, in fact, manned aircraft. I couldn't give you a breakdown of what percentage, but we do believe that still some of these sightings are in fact manned aircraft. We also acknowledge that a lot of them are unmanned aircraft. But again, our assessment to date, given all the work that we've done, the FBI, state and local officials, that these are legal and lawful drones flying for the common good.
Okay, the Homeland Security Secretary said over the weekend that right now they don't have any foreign involvement, criminal activity. We don't see them as a national security concern. How can you get to that point? How can you get to that conclusion with what you're seeing?
Because we've done the analysis. We've done the detection and the analysis. We've corroborated the sightings. And in every case that we have examined to date, we have seen nothing that indicates a public safety risk. There are drones flying over the skies of the United States every single night, every single day. And we've seen nothing in and around New Jersey that should give the people on the ground there concerns for their safety for this activity. And we've seen nothing, working with the Department of Defense as well, that indicates a foreign adversary actor involved or any kind of pernicious national security threat.
Okay, here's the president-elect today.
They know where it came from and where it went. And for some reason, they don't want to comment. And I think they'd be better off saying what it is. Our military knows and our president knows. And for some reason, they want to keep people in suspense.
What's your answer to that?
Well, I think it goes back to the first question you asked me, Brett. I mean, we have made an assessment based on the work we've done thus far, and our assessment is that this is lawful and legal activity, whether it's manned or unmanned. Again, we see no indication of a national security or public safety risk.
Okay, but there are so many of them, John.
Assessment.
There are so many of them, John. If this was happening over Delaware, Rehoboth Beach, would you be a little bit more concerned? I mean, I guess the people of New Jersey wonder why it took so long to get to the point you are now. And if you see all of this, doesn't a local authority need the authority to be able to deal with it? Is it something Congress has to pass? Because they want to say, I don't want a 6-foot wide diameter refrigerator flying over my house and falling on my roof.
That's a great question, and I'm glad you asked it, Brett, because we absolutely do want to see congressional action. The Biden administration proposed legislation for counter-UAS authorities, additional authorities, to close some of the gaps and seams that you're talking about, not only between our own agencies here in the federal government, but the gaps that exist between us and state and local authorities.
Did you notice how animated he became there once he got asked that question about legislation?
Absolutely want to see that legislation, and President Biden's calling for a bipartisan task force on Capitol Hill to do exactly that, to try to drive some legislative remedies. I think everybody, and I think we all understand this, Brett. I mean, we're in a new ecosystem in terms of unmanned aircraft in this country. Again, all legal and lawful and doing the right thing for the public good, but it's a brand new ecosystem. There are more systems flying, more purposes over more cities than ever before, and the authorities and the gaps and seams that those authorities don't give us have not kept up with that ecosystem. And so we want to see that driving forward.
I'd be really interested to hear anybody's theories on this, because it is just fascinating and someone must be able to figure this out. Everybody in the comment section is just like, this guy is a liar. This is all lies. You know, people are not buying it. So I just want to veer back to The View, because some of the women have started to accept blame and have started to accept responsibility. And I'm wondering, is it coming from a genuine, sincere place? Have a look.
But then I'm kind of rethinking my thinking. And I do think that maybe it's time for the Democrats to do a little bit of this postmortem, because the Democratic Party has always been the party of the working class, has always been. If you look at all the policies, they're for the people. And I think even myself, as someone who grew up in abject poverty from the Bronx, my parents lived paycheck to paycheck. They had to decide whether or not they were going to feed me or whether or not we were going to have heat. And I remember that. And I think I missed the boat in terms of realizing that there are so many Americans that still have that experience that I grew up with and that members of my family grew up with. And so I think we need to make space in this tent for the people that are really going to need it, because I got to tell you, I don't think the Republican Party is the party of the working class. I think they will hurt the working class. And so it is up to those of us who remember how that feels or who cares about that to reach out and say, come back, we can help you. And I intend myself, what little I can do, to try to do that more.
I appreciate the sentiment here, and I appreciate that she's self-reflecting. I do think that she's looking at this still from quite a surface level. The thing about the Democrat Party, there's a difference between the policies that they say they have and then the policies that they actually stand by and actually act on. And I think a lot of people feel alienated from the Democrat Party because they've seen over time, especially in the last few years, that what they say they are, what they say they do, and what they say they stand for is not the same as what actually happens.
But I do think what's most interesting is that Donald Trump supposedly reached the working class, but I don't grasp what parts are going to benefit them. So was being heard enough? Was it just being heard by a candidate? Because his plans don't break down to helping them.
Of course, being heard wasn't enough. You know, again, this is just that surface level thinking. The list, I can't even list all of the reasons why people felt that it would be good for them economically, because it's a long list. I'd be really curious to know, why do you personally think that the economy will be strong with Trump? Like, what's your main reason? Because I'm sure everybody has their own take on this and their own very individual reason for it. Finally, I almost forgot, but here is the part that's about Kamala Harris's secret parties.
On Friday, Sonny and I were on the same train to Washington, D.C., and I was going to Kamala Harris's black tie event. She does a black tie for her close friends and family and people she's known for decades. There's no phones allowed because she lets her hair down. We all let our hair down. She danced until way past midnight, every song. Tim Walz was there. She's good, guys. She's good. And
now that it's all said and done, she comes across to me as someone who probably is quite easy to like fun aunt, fun friend. I'm just really glad that she didn't become president of the United States, you know? Even just that of that, like, she has these parties and they get so crazy and obviously so drunk and so messy that she doesn't allow any phones in case anybody films her and the footage gets out. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's commonplace within politics, but I just think it's reaffirms that feeling that it's for the best that she didn't become president. Anyway, that's all from me for today. As I always say, please share your opinion on anything and everything because it really genuinely matters. So I'll see you next time.